From millionaire to homeless black man, a journey of resilience and hope. Clara's world flipped in a blink. 1 minute, she was balancing plates at the busiest diner on 7th Avenue, the city lights flickering like restless fireflies outside the greasy windows. Then, just like that, she was out of a job, fired in the harshest way possible, right after she'd stopped a lost, sobbing little boy from wandering into a dangerous street. The boss called it distraction, but Clara knew it was punishment. Her chest tightened, breath hitched, and her hands trembled as the weight of it all crashed in. How could a simple act of kindness shatter her fragile world? The city's roar didn't pause. Horns blared, sidewalks squeezed with rushing feet, and neon signs flickered above her like taunting eyes. She clutched her worn coat tighter, heart pounding in the chill night air, unaware that her fate was about to twist again in the most unexpected way. Enter Nicholas Turner, a name that sparked curios. Clara had heard the whispers about his daughter Isabella, a fragile girl tangled in anxiety, guarded like a rare flower behind the walls of their penthouse. One foggy morning, Clara found herself standing in front of Nicholas's towering glass building. The offer was surreal. Be the companion to his anxious daughter, a far cry from the chaos of her diner, and maybe, just maybe, a shot at stability. But as she stepped inside, the air shifted. It was beautiful, sterile, a world apart from the greasy tables she'd scrubbed. Yet, underneath the polished surface churned an undercurrent she couldn't ignore. Barbara, the assistant with a smile too sharp to be kind, eyes cold enough to slice. She was quick with compliments that tasted like poison, and slow with anything that smacked of support. Rumors started, little hints thrown like daggers into staff meetings and hushed corners. Clara was the outsider, the charity case, the unworthy shadow trying to cling to their silk world. Isabella's quiet, hesitant trust became Clara's lifeline. In the soft glow of the library's golden lamp, between whispered secrets and shaky breaths, Clara felt her heart warm, the first spark of belonging in months. But behind every smile lurked Barbara's venom, and Clara's nerves frayed under the constant tension. Was this new world worth the fight? Could she hold her ground? Or would the shadows consume her again? Just as whispers about Barbara's deceit began to unravel. A careless word, a dropped secret. A sharp crash tore through the quiet penthouse. An unforeseen accident shattered the night's fragile peace. Hearts stopped, eyes widened, and the question burned brighter than ever. Who would stand when the truth broke through the darkness? Could Clara really trust those bonds she fought so hard to form? Or were the shadows waiting, ready to pull her back into despair? Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss out on any exclusive content coming your way. And while you're there, leave that powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know all the amazing people who are part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The crash echoed like thunder in the silent penthouse, shattering Clara's fragile hope. Hearts raced, breaths caught, Clara's stomach twisted. The once serene ambiance was now electric with panic. Isabella's fingers clenched around the edge of her chair, her wide eyes reflecting Clara's own fear. Nicholas burst through the library door, face pale, eyes darting. "What was that?" he shouted, his voice trembling. And then Clara saw it. A stray bookshelf lay on the floor, books scattered like fallen leaves. The noise had been a bookcase collapsing, but her heart sank deeper with the realization of what it meant. She sensed something sinister mingling with the dust. Barbara stood at the back, hand clasped over her mouth, eyes wide but devious. "It's just an accident," she managed, though the tremor in her voice gave her away. An accident? Clara felt a chill run up her spine. She had seen Barbara's smile before, too sharp, too knowing. Something in her essence hinted at a darker tone. Clara's instincts kicked in. What if this was no mere mishap? A little voice whispered that something had been put in motion, that the shadows were indeed lurking, waiting for their moment. Nicholas ran a hand through his hair, lost. "Isabella, are you okay?" His daughter nodded, but Clara saw the trembling in her fists. "I'm fine, Dad," she whispered, but the vulnerability in her voice betrayed her. They were all fine, but the real question loomed like a storm. Clara took a step forward. "I'll check the hallway," she said, her voice steady despite the quake in her heart. She wanted to pull Isabella close, to wrap her in warmth, to shield her from whatever this was. But she couldn't let the fear show. As she moved cautiously down the hall, the silence felt thick. A heavy fog lingering in the corners. The city below buzzed like an angry hive, oblivious to the chaos above. Then, out of nowhere, she heard it. A muffled sound, followed by a heavy thud. Clara's heart pounded. She couldn't take it anymore. She pushed open a door marked "Staff Only," hoping to find answers. What she saw next sent her heart racing. Barbara, leaning over something on the floor, her expression a twisted blend of satisfaction and fury. Clara squinted. What was she hiding? And then she heard it, a quiet whimper escaping from the darkness. It came from a small, confined closet. "Don't!" Clara breathed the dread pouring in. "What are you doing?" Barbara whipped around, eyes wild, the mask of composure slipping. "You shouldn't be here," she spat, her voice dripping with venom. Then her expression shifted. A flicker of fear crossed her face. "You don't understand." Clara's chest tightened. The whimper echoed again, a child's voice, trembling with fear. But the sound sent an electric shock through her. This was more than just a prank or some petty jealousy. Barbara's eyes had a darkness in them that made Clara's skin crawl. "I'm calling for help," Clara said, her voice shaking with panic. "Let them go, now!" "Help?" Barbara laughed, a sharp edge to her tone. "Do you think anyone cares?" Her words hung heavily in the air, a threat wrapped in bitterness. Clara felt her throat tighten. What had she walked into? Before she could react, Barbara lunged, knocking Clara off balance. Fear consumed her. The impact sent her staggering back, and the door slammed shut, plunging everything into darkness. But not before Clara caught a glimpse of a familiar, terrified face peering out at her. A face she knew all too well. It was Isabella's long-lost brother, the one they thought had disappeared years ago. The world shifted beneath Clara's feet. Everything she thought she knew began to unravel. What lay hidden in the shadows was far more dangerous than a mere rivalry. The lines between ally and enemy blurred, and Clara knew this was just the beginning of a desperate fight for truth. Would she risk it all to uncover the dark past they shared? The stakes had never felt higher. The door slammed shut, enveloping Clara in a suffocating darkness. Fear gripped her heart like a vice. Barbara loomed over the closet, her shadow merging with the darkness, eyes glinting with a madness that sent chills racing down Clara's spine. "Let him go," Clara shouted, her voice ringing with defiance. She took a step forward, adrenaline surging, but Barbara's eyes glowed with a frantic energy, flickering between fear and rage. The whimpering escalated, a soft plea that ignited something deep within Clara. It was Isabella's brother, lost for years and trapped right in front of her. "Help me," came the quiet voice again, trembling with desperation. Before Clara could lunge for the door, Barbara lunged first, her grip like steel on Clara's arm. "You don't know what you're doing," she hissed, eyes narrowing to slits. "You should never have come here." Clara's mind raced, piecing together the chaos. "What do you mean?" She struggled against Barbara's hold, but the assistant only tightened her grip. "Isabella's brother wasn't lost. He was hidden. For a reason," Barbara spat, her voice rising, echoing in the confined space. The tangle of emotions sent Clara's heart racing. Fear twisted with confusion. What? Clara wondered if she had misheard. Panic flooded her senses. Why? Just then, a loud crash echoed from the hallway, drowning out their voices. Clara flinched, eyes darting toward the noise, heart pounding like a drum. Something was terribly wrong. With a sudden jolt, the door behind them flew open, slamming into the wall. Nicholas burst in, his expression one of pure horror. And then came a sound that struck Clara like a lightning bolt. A gunshot. The noise tore through the apartment, crashing into the silence. Clara's breath caught in her throat. Isabella stood, frozen, eyes wide, a scream trapped on her lips. "Dad!" she cried, but her words collapsed beneath the weight of chaos. Nicholas whipped around, searching, panic etched on his face. "Isabella, stay back!" he shouted, before shouting down the hall, "I need backup here, now!" Clara's heart raced as the reality sank in. Barbara's grip released for a split second, a moment of shock washing over her. Clara seized the opportunity and darted toward the closet, where the child cried, feeling the urgency in every fiber of her being. But just as she reached for the door, Barbara's voice cut through the air, sharp as a blade. "You can't save him! You'll regret this, Clara!" Before Clara could react, something cold brushed against her back. She froze, the blood draining from her face. A gun, a small black weapon pressed into her spine, held by Barbara. The world narrowed to that moment, the weight of the metal fueling her fear. "Turn around, slowly," Barbara demanded, eyes wild, a different kind of desperation etched in her features. Clara's heart pounded so loud she thought the others could hear it. She turned, breathless, facing Barbara's tormented expression. You don't understand what you're doing, Clara shouted, arms raised in surrender, though inside her heart screamed to protect Isabella's brother. But Barbara only laughed, a desperate, manic sound that echoed in the dark room. Oh, but I understand too well. This is bigger than you think. Bigger than all of us. Just then, a front door crashed open again as police officers flooded the room, weapons drawn. A stunned silence cloaked the room, a collective gasp mingling with the smell of fear and chaos. In that heartbeat, everything shattered. All their lives hung in the balance, tangled in secrets darker than Clara had imagined. Barbara's grip loosened slightly, but only enough for Clara to feel the weight of the gun, hers now, and the choice she had to make. What was real? Who could she trust? As she looked around at the faces, Isabella's terror, Nicholas's surprise, the officer's full attention, she felt the ground shift beneath her. The coming storm would change everything. And Clara knew then this was only the beginning. The air crackled with tension, charged like a live wire. Clara stood there, heart pounding, caught in the chaos. The police spread out, commands flying through the air like darts. But all Clara could focus on was the weapon that had shifted the balance of power, now teetering on a knife's edge. "Drop the weapon!" an officer shouted, eyes glued on Barbara. But Clara saw something different, something darker, flickering behind those cold eyes. "Please," Clara breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Let him go!" Barbara's gaze flickered toward the closet, her expression shifting, teetering between malevolence and something else. Desperation? Fear? "Do you think you can save him?" Barbara spat, her grip tightening on the gun. "You don't even know what he is!" A gasp swept through the officers. The tension thickened like fog. Clara felt the hairs on the back of her neck rise. "What are you talking about?" Before Barbara could respond, a sharp voice pierced through the chaos. "Enough, Barbara!" The room fell deadly silent. Then, like a storm breaking loose, a tall figure stepped into view. The last person Clara ever expected. Nicholas's estranged brother, Marcus, standing there with a smug grin, a shadow of authority cloaking him. "You shouldn't have come back," Barbara hissed, dropping her facade, revealing layers of tension and history. "Marcus? Here?" Clara's mind raced, piecing together the puzzle. Why had he returned now, just as the walls were crumbling? Everything about him felt wrong. "Your little games are over," he declared, voice steady but laced with mockery. "You thought you could keep him hidden forever? Did you really think family could be forced away?" Nicholas's face twisted in confusion, disbelief gripping him. "What are you talking about, Marcus? What's going on?" The gasps from the officers echoed like an awful chorus. Clara felt sick. Everything she'd known began to crumble. Marcus wasn't just some random returnee. He was the key to the entire tragedy unspooling before her eyes. "Let's just say I've come to reclaim what's mine," Marcus sneered, a chilling smirk forming. Then, like a clap of thunder, reality hit. Isabella's brother. He isn't just a victim, is he? Barbara's eyes darkened. "Be careful what you say, Clara. You don't know the truth." Don't I? Clara pressed, fear flooding her system. How could he? What did you do? The silence hung heavy, the air thick with unspoken secrets. You could almost feel the walls breathing, whispering stories long buried. And then a loud bang disrupted the tension. The SWAT team barged in, shouting commands to secure the area. Get down! Drop your weapons! Everyone froze. Clara stood between the gun and the truth, heart racing. But she felt it now. The gnawing realization that the tangled web around her ran deeper than she could ever imagine. What if Marcus had plans of his own? What if he was weaving something sinister right before her eyes? As the officers moved in, a shiver of recognition shot through her. Isabella's brother wasn't lost. He was part of a greater secret, something dark looming like a shadow over them all. Clara knew in that moment that answers were lurking just beneath the surface, hidden like tidal waves ready to crash. They had only scratched the surface. What had been unfolding was not just Barbara's twisted desires. It was something far more sinister, and Clara would have to confront the depths of that dark family legacy soon. With everything spiraling, the line between friend and foe blurred dangerously, and Clara felt the threat close in, knowing this fight was only beginning. The air crackled with tension, charged like a live wire. Clara stood there, her heart pounding, caught in the chaos. The police spread out, commands flying through the air like darts. But all Clara could focus on was the weapon that had shifted the balance. But Clara saw something different, something darker flickering behind those cold eyes. Please, Clara breathed, a voice barely above a whisper. Let him go. Barbara's gaze flickered toward the closet, her expression shifting, teetering between malevolence and something else. Desperation? Fear? Do you think you can save him? Barbara spat, her grip tightening on the gun. You don't even know what he is! Clara's heart raced. What are you talking about? Before Barbara could respond, a sharp voice pierced through the chaos. Enough, Barbara. The room fell deadly silent. Then, like a storm breaking loose, a tall figure stepped into view. The last person Clara ever expected. Marcus, standing there with a smug grin, a shadow of authority cloaking him. You shouldn't have come back, Barbara hissed, dropping her facade, revealing layers of tension and history. Marcus here? Clara's mind raced, piecing together the puzzle. Why had he returned now, just as the walls were crumbling? Everything about him felt wrong. Your little games are over, he declared, voice steady but laced with mockery. You thought you could keep him hidden forever? Did you really think family could be forced away? Nicholas's face twisted in confusion, disbelief gripping him. What are you talking about, Marcus? What's going on? Clara felt sick. Everything she'd known began to crumble. Family? What do you mean? What's happening? Marcus stepped closer, the grin fading. You really have no idea, do you? He's not just anyone. He's our brother. Your brother. Isabella's brother. The one you thought was lost. The words struck her like a punch to the gut. Everything blurred for a moment. No! That's impossible! Clara gasped, feeling her world tilt. Barbados's grip on the gun loosened, confusion washing over her face. Clara seized the moment, adrenaline surging through her, rushing toward the closet. I'll get him out, she shouted, desperate and driven. But Marcus laughed, the sound like ice breaking. "It's too late for that! You really think you've been saving him? He's been here all along, waiting for the right moment, waiting for me." A low murmur swept through the officers, confusion mixing with apprehension. Clara's stomach churned. "What do you mean? He was lost. He was lost?" he sneered, stepping forward, eyes glinting with a mad intensity. "No, Clara, he was hidden. Hidden because he has something we all need. Something so dangerous, it could destroy everything." Before Clara could respond, another bang echoed through the room. A second gunshot. The officer shouted, chaos exploding again. Clara turned in horror to see Barbara crumpling to the ground, shock silence sweeping the space like a wave. What was happening? Who had shot her? Suddenly, the closet door swung open, revealing a small boy. Panic-stricken, eyes wide. The officer surged forward, but Clara's heart stopped as she realized he was holding something. A flash drive, glinting in the dim light. "Get it, Clara?" The boy's voice was trembling but steady. "You need this. They want it back." The room was a ticking bomb. Hearts pounding, breaths held tight. Clara's mind spun. The boy's terrified face, Marcus's maniacal grin, Barbara's crumpling form. Was any of it real? Had she stepped into a trap where nothing was as it seemed? The boy tossed the drive toward Clara, but before she could reach for it, a figure blocked her way. "You don't know what you're touching," Marcus barked, lunging forward. Time slowed. Clara's hand shot out, the flash drive just out of reach. "What are you hiding?" she yelled. But Marcus's eyes flickered with danger, a glint that sent dread crashing into her. "It's not just a drive, Clara. It's everything, and it'll change everything for you." As the chaos enveloped the room again, one thought pierced through the noise. Trust was a fragile thing. Clara stood on the edge of something dark, and she had to decide. Who was the real enemy? And what had Marcus unleashed? Clara's heart slammed against her ribs as chaos erupted around her. The boy was clutching the flash drive, eyes wide with fear, while the officers shouted commands, trying to secure the scene. All Clara could think about was the weight of the gun still lingering in Barbara's trembling grip. "Get back!" an officer shouted, turning his gaze towards Marcus, who stood as if he owned the room. "Everyone, drop your weapons!" But Marcus only smirked, clearly reveling in the chaos unfolding. "You think you can control this? You have no idea what's really at stake here," he sneered. All eyes turned to Barbara, the weapon slipping from her fingers, clattering to the floor. As it hit the ground, an unexpected shockwave coursed through the room. A sudden explosion of noise erupted. A blaring alarm pierced the air. An ear-splitting signal that sent a shiver down Clara's spine. "Security breach!" a voice echoed through the building's intercom, frantic. "All personnel evacuate immediately." "Evacuate? What's happening?" Clara's mind raced as officers scrambled, shouting to each other. The tension thickened, thick enough to cut. Every person seemed to shift, uncertain of where to go, as the room turned into a whirlwind of panic. "You need to listen to me," Marcus called out, voice rising over the din. "He has to be found. He's the key to everything." The boy's eyes darted between Clara and Marcus, fear weighing heavily on him. I just wanted to help." Tears welled in his eyes as he stepped back, the flash drive shaking in his small hands. But then, an unexpected flash ignited in the far corner of the room. A burst of smoke, billowing outward. In moments, the atmosphere shifted from chaos to confusion. Smoke seeped through the doors, wrapping around everyone, obscuring them in a thick fog. Clara's vision blurred, panic rippling through the officers as they drawn closer, unsure of the threat's origin. "Down! Get down!" the leading officer yelled, pushing Isabella out of the way just as a loud pop echoed through the air. A nearby window shattered, sending jagged shards raining down. Everything exploded into sheer chaos as a group of masked figures stormed in through the cloud. Clara's heart dropped. These were no police. They were heavily armed and moving quickly, efficiency gleaming in their eyes. "Secure the target!" one of them yelled, and without hesitation, they advanced toward Marcus, guns raised. "That's not—" he started to say, but one of the figures thrust a weapon at his chest, forcing him back. Clara felt the ground shift beneath her. The boy stumbled back, eyes wide, terror-stricken. She grabbed his hand, pulling him close. "We need to get out now," she yelled, though uncertainty wrapped around her. But it was too late. "He's here! Get the boy!" Another masked figure screamed, their chilling voice echoing through the chaos. A surge of fear smothered Clara. Everything she thought she knew shattered in an instant. The boy wasn't just a victim. He was a pawn in a game much larger than she ever imagined. A truth she fought for spiraled away as emotions flooded her. Betrayal, desperation, and a fierce urge to protect. And then, in a split second, the unexpected happened. Barbara, still on the floor, suddenly lunged forward. "No! You won't take him! He's my only chance!" What? Clara's mind raced, confusion colliding with horror. Reality was twisting, unraveling at the seams. Everything they had fought for, all the shadows they had navigated, had been built on a foundation of lies. "Get her!" one of the masked figures shouted, and Clara's breath hitched in that heart-stopping moment amidst the chaos. Clara realized the battle had turned into something unrecognizable, and with it, all hope hung precariously in the balance. The boy squeezed her hand, eyes wide with fear, and in that instant, she knew trust was a dangerous weapon. Who had been working for whom? What secrets had they been hiding? The truth was far more twisted than she could comprehend. And now, everything was at stake. Clara's heart raced as chaos enveloped her. The boy's grip tightened as masked figures rushed in, guns drawn. The air felt electric with fear. Barbara stirred on the floor, her eyes flashing with desperation. "You don't know what you've unleashed!" she shrieked, struggling to pull herself up. "Civilians, stand down!" An officer yelled, pushing forward. Clara's mind spun. Was Barbara a victim or a player in this twisted game? Before she could process it, Marcus stepped back, eyes wide. "I didn't want this," he gasped. A flicker of fear etched across his face. Then a series of loud pops rang out, plastic like thunder in the room. The smoke thickened, choking them all. Clara could barely breathe. "Get back! Protect the kid!" an officer shouted, trying to shield them. But out of the chaos, something unimaginable happened. The boy abruptly released Clara's hand and stumbled forward. With wide eyes, he yelled, "Stop! You don't understand." Everyone froze. Marcus's face paled. "What do you mean?" he whispered. In that moment, the boy turned to Clara, his expression shifting from fear to something deeper, something lost. "I'm not who you think I am. I came back for you." "What?" Clara's chest tightened. "What are you talking about? Who are you?" "Ah!" As the room exploded with noise, the boy reached for his own collar, pulling at something hidden. With trembling hands, he revealed a small pendant that glowed faintly. The moment the pendant hit the light, everything around them froze. Time seemed to catch its breath. The masked figures hesitated, exchanging confused glances. Even the officers paused, entranced. Marcus's voice trembled. "Where did you get that?" The boy looked at Marcus, eyes fierce. "It's my birthright. This isn't just about you or me. It's about what we were meant to stop." Suddenly, Clara felt an odd connection, as if threads of history wove around them, binding them together. "What does that mean?" He took a breath, conviction radiating from him. "We're connected. I'm not just Isabella's brother. I'm your brother too. You were never meant to be separated." Gasps echoed through the room. Clara stumbled back, shock ripping through her. "No, that's impossible." But the boy's face didn't waver. "It's true. Our family, it's a lie. Everything you thought you knew is twisted. We need to uncover the real truth before it's too late." Barbara now lay stunned on the floor, her defenses crumbling. "You don't know what's out there," she murmured. The tension surged again, a tight coil of fear and confusion. One of the masked figures, finally regaining composure, stepped forward, eyes locked on the pendant. "Do as we say, and it can all go away. We never wanted innocent blood." A beam of light flashed, cutting through the fog, illuminating the pendant, casting an aura around the boy. Clara felt a shiver run down her spine. Every heartbeat felt monumental. Could he really be telling the truth? As uncertainty loomed, Clara realized this was more than a confrontation. It was a battle for her very identity. A twisted legacy lay exposed, threads of betrayal intertwined with a hidden past she never imagined. With high stakes and fragile bonds, she faced the boy, heart pounding. If this is true, then what do we do now? Around them, tension thickened, silence closing in like a storm. The answer loomed. Her next steps could either bind them or tear everything apart. Clara felt the walls close in, a dawning realization that whatever happened next, nothing would ever be the same. Clara stood frozen, the weight of the moment pressing down. The boy holding the glowing pendant continued. "You need to understand. Everything you fought for is tied to this. We were all a part of something bigger." "What have you done?" Marcus snapped, his voice edged with panic. He stepped back, clearly reeling from the revelation. But his fear seemed twisted, like he had something to protect. Above the chaos, another loud voice boomed through the haze, cutting through the tension sharp as glass. "Enough!" Clara's heart raced as a new figure emerged from the smoke. It was a woman, wearing a sleek black suit, her hair slicked back tightly, eyes cold and calculating. "We're taking the child," she said firmly, her tone brokering no argument. The masked figure shifted at her command, tightening their grip on their weapons, clearly prepared to follow her orders. Barbara, "Ainda struggle on the floor," suddenly burst into action, scrambling to her feet. "No, you can't take him. He's not yours." "You don't understand, Barbara," the woman said, her voice cruel and calm. "It's time for all the pieces to fall into place. Hand him over, and you can walk away." Marcus stepped in front of the boy, face twisting with determination. "No, Clara, it's a trap." Then, as if time had halted, the boy stepped forward, the pendant lighting up with a strange power. "It's not what you think," he gasped. "I was looking for you. I've been waiting." What was happening? The air felt thick, confusion swirling around like the smoke. Just as Clara opened her mouth to respond, shots rang out, gunfire exploding through the air. The masked men moved, and everything turned into chaos. Clara's breath caught in her throat. She felt her body tense, instinctively reaching for Isabella's brother. But as reality crashed in, the unexpected happened. One of the masked figures, a woman with a scar running down her cheek, turned and shot at Marcus. What felt like slow motion broke apart as Clara watched him fall, the horror echoing around her. "Marcus!" The boy's eyes widened in shock. Then something unfurled behind them. Betrayal. "They've known about you all along!" he shouted. His voice strained as he glanced between his brother and the woman in the suit. "Enough!" the officer shouted, but it was too late. Chaos blanketed them all. Amidst all the panic, something clicked. Memories flooded Clara's mind, pieces aligning in a way she'd never anticipated. A childhood photo flashed before her, a family full of laughter, except one child was always out of frame. Was that why they had been torn apart? And then the woman stepped toward the boy and Marcus, her demeanor changing. "You should have stayed hidden." Her voice lowered, filled with something darker. "You have no idea how much they need you, but too much innocence is dangerous." Suddenly, everything clicked into place, shattering everything Clara thought she understood. The connections, the motives, the fear behind every whispered secret. They weren't just whispers. They were a desperate plea, a dangerous game. Clara's heart thundered as she processed who that woman must really be. The truth felt like a jolt to her core. She was someone not just tied to the family's legacy, but the very architect of this chaos. A hidden puppet master pulling strings behind the scenes. Who was she? And then, just like that, the smoke cleared, revealing a hidden door behind the shelf. "Now!" the woman ordered, her eyes blazing with fury, her hand gesturing towards the door. The boy locked eyes with Clara, panic swirling inside both of them. "You have to save us!" he yelled, and without thinking, Clara rushed toward him, heart racing, everything spinning out of control. She had to know. She had to fight. Whatever lay ahead would change them forever. As she reached the door, she turned back, ready to make the ultimate choice, knowing everything depended on what happened next. Clara stood at the threshold, heart pounding. The boy clutched the glowing pendant, a fragile promise of the truth. The air buzzed with urgency. "We have to go!" she shouted, glancing back as panic rippled through the room. Barbara was scrambling, still recovering from her fall. Marcus was lying on the ground, shock etched onto his face. Clara's mind raced. Was he hurt? The masked figures were growing bolder, surrounding them. Just as the first wave rushed closer, the boy stepped forward, urgency glistening in his wide eyes. We can't let them take me! You don't understand! Clara felt the pull of his fear, but before she could respond, the woman in the suit lifted her hand, signaling to the masked figures. Don't let them escape! A thunderous crash echoed through the hallway, reverberating into the room. The walls shook. Everyone turned, a momentary distraction. Clara seized it. Now, she yelled, pulling the boy toward the hidden door. The moment she stepped inside, everything changed. With barely a breath, the room vanished. The air turned heavy, pressing in like a vice. Clara stumbled, disoriented, as the world seemed to ripple around her. The boy clutched her hand tightly, fear coursing through his grasp. What just happened? He gasped. The space warped. When Clara blinked, they were no longer in the penthouse, but standing in a dimly lit chamber, candles flickering in shadows. The walls, bare stone, felt ancient. Clara's breath hitched. Where are we? The boy hesitated, eyes darting around the room. I don't know, but we have to hurry. Yet just as they took a step, a familiar laugh echoed from the shadows. Clara's heart dropped. It was Nicholas! You thought you could escape so easily? He taunted, stepping into the candlelight, an unsettling grin stretching across his face. Nicholas? Clara's voice trembled, a chill creeping down her spine. Surprised to see me? He rubbed his hands together, eyes glinting with mischief. Welcome to my little sanctuary. Sanctuary? The boy's voice cracked, a mix of confusion and betrayal. You put us in danger! Nicholas laughed again, low and wicked. Danger? No, my boy. This is where the real power lies. What are you talking about? Clara stepped back, bewildered. Did you really think this was about the pendant? Nicholas leaned closer, a dangerous glint in his gaze. It's bigger than that. This is about controlling legacy. Your family was never just a family. You all are pawns in something much larger, something I've been orchestrating for years. The room felt like it spun. What? No, that can't be true, Clara stammered, the world crashing down around her. It is true, Clara. His voice dropped, low and threatening. You and the boy, you're connected, not just by blood, but by purpose. This legacy belongs to you. The boy shook his head, confusion swirling in his young features. What do you mean? What purpose? Before Nicholas could answer, another figure stepped from the shadows. Clara gasped. It was the woman from the penthouse. But now she wore a smirk, collecting the tension like a trophy. Time to reveal the truth, she said, her tone sugary sweet, yet menacing. You see, Clara, we've been waiting for you to reconnect with your roots, to summon the power that only you can wield. What power? Clara's heart raced, dread pooling in her stomach. Oh, you'll find out soon enough. Nicholas leaned back, satisfaction stealing his features as the boy gasped, realization dawning. Family, it was all a trap, the boy whispered, fear coursing through him like a stream. In that moment, everything shifted. Clara felt the weight of their secrets closing in. The boy's connection, her own hidden lineage, it all twisted together in a knot of betrayal. You're not just here to escape. You're here to take control. We've been waiting for you both, the woman said, voice laced with malice. Clara's throat felt dry. No, no! But the truth stung like an open wound. If they were waiting for her, What had she unwittingly stepped into? "What's it going to be then?" Nicholas pressed, eyes burning with intensity. "Will you seize the legacy, or let it slip through your fingers?" Their fates interlocked, and Clara knew one thing. This was beyond anything she had imagined. The fight was far from over. Choices loomed, unseen forces pulling them deeper. What had she stumbled into? The truth awaited, and all she could feel was the urgency of every minute ticking by, leaving a biting question in its wake. What would happen next? Clara felt the tension crackle in the dark room, the weight of forgotten legacies pressing against her chest. The boy stood beside her, clutching the glowing pendant, their connection palpable. "We can't let them control us," he whispered, determination shining in his eyes. Nicholas stepped forward, that smug grin still plastered on his face. "You think this is about you? You're just a piece in my game," he sneered. But Clara couldn't let fear rule her any longer. "No more games, Nicholas!" Her voice rang with conviction. "You've manipulated us for too long." Just then, an explosion behind them caught everyone off guard. A window shattered, letting in a gust of cold air, and a group of officers storming in, rescue and chaos arriving hand in hand. "Get down!" they shouted, guns drawn, ready to protect. The masked figures turned, startled, and a moment of disarray filled the chamber. Clara seized the moment. "Run!" She grabbed the boy's hand and bolted towards the exit. The officers pushed forward, their presence turning the tide in the room. They raced outside, adrenaline surging through them. The boy gasped, "What if they catch us?" But Clara refused to look back. "They won't. Not this time." They dashed through the back alley, the icy wind biting at their skin. The city was alive, lights flashing, murmurs echoing around them. Freedom felt tangible. Yet shadows loomed behind them, whispers of the chaos left behind. As they turned a corner, they found a small park. The moon glistening on the frost-covered ground. "We need to talk," Clara said, panting. "What did they want from you?" The boy looked down, fear dancing in his eyes. "They wanted me for what's in my blood. But it's not just me. I think it's you, too." "What do you mean?" Clara's heart raced. She felt a surge of dread and disbelief. "They believe we can unlock their control. We're tied to their legacy." Clara's breath hitched, a lump forming in her throat. "Then we have to destroy that legacy. We can't let them keep holding us hostage." The boy nodded fiercely. "Together!" As a sense of resolve filled the air, Clara could feel the possibilities shimmer between them. Maybe this wasn't the end after all. They had a fight ahead of them, a chance to rewrite the narrative, a chance to reclaim their lives. But in the back of her mind, questions stirred. Would they face this threat together? Or would it tear them apart in the end? Behind them, shadows loomed. But as long as they had each other, maybe they could forge a new path. Clara looked into the night sky, hope flickering like stars. "Let's get to work," she said, determination rising in her chest. The story wasn't over yet, and neither was their journey. But before you go, there's something very important. You must subscribe now so you don't miss out on all the exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now. It truly helps spread the word. And I want to hear from you, So flood the comments with your thoughts and theories about the finale. This is the moment to show your support, and don't wait 1 second longer to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know this ending. Your participation makes a world of difference, so let's keep this community alive and engaged.